Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to Abundant Source Raw, and in this video I wanted to go over and sort of demonstrate the natural seating position for human beings for sitting and resting. And if you've ever watched a toddler or a young child playing or sitting or reaching down to grab something, you'll see that they do a full squat, and that is the most natural sitting position for the human body. Although the flat-footed squat, which is the full squat and the natural seated position, is very hard for most American people or any people that have been living and grew up in a culture where there is a lot of chairs and you're sitting down in chairs and things like that. And chairs have really messed up our posture. The way you sit in a chair is not natural, and it causes a lot of misalignment, and it kind of deactivates certain muscles and things like that when you're sitting in a chair and you're kind of not using certain muscles which you really are supposed to be using when you're sitting down. And so now, because of that, it's actually very difficult for most people to get into the flat-footed squat, even though it's supposed to be the most natural. And pretty much all cultures around the world that have not grown up in a society where sitting in chairs is really popular and something that they constantly do, like people in America and other developed cultures who sit in chairs in awkward sitting positions. These cultures that have not had that, they still do the full-footed squat to rest and to sit down, because it's just so natural to them. They haven't had years of sitting in chairs that have damaged and crippled their ability to do the full squat. So I'm going to demonstrate the full squat really quickly, and then I'll talk a little bit more about it in a second. So this is what they call the westernized squat, and this is what most people do when they squat in America, is when they go down to squat, they'll lift up their heels and they'll sit like this, which is kind of more of like that. It's a little more of a squat, but it's more like that 90-degree angle, or it's closer to a 90-degree angle like you would be in a chair, because that's what we're used to. A lot of our mobility in our ankles and our thighs and hips have really been reduced because we've been sitting in chairs and wearing shoes that have messed with our posture and things like that for so long. And so this is what's comfortable for most Americans, is with the heels up. But what you really want to learn is how to do a flat-footed squat. So, keeping your heels completely on the ground and being comfortable in this position. This is, the natural human resting position. And if you've never really done this or practiced it, then most likely it's going to be pretty difficult for you. It was very difficult for me when I first found this out and tried to do it. I felt so unbalanced and like I was gonna fall down every time I did it, and I felt like it was very uncomfortable. But you just keep practicing, and then you'll gain that mobility, and those muscles that you weren't using before will start to come back and become developed, and you'll just feel more balanced. But I really enjoy this position. It makes me feel really human, especially when I'm eating. It just feels so good to get down into a full squat and just kind of eat my food like a human being naturally would. And also it has incredible benefits. Years of sitting in a chair has really screwed up your back and your buttocks and just your total overall posture. And the flat-footed squat really helps to align your back. It's really corrective for your back, for your feet and ankles, for your knees and hips. It's really gonna work to align all those different things that have been corrupted by sitting in chairs and that awkward 90-degree angle that everyone's so accustomed to now. So like I said, even for me, it was very difficult to get in this position and stay there without falling backwards. And it's recommended that if it's really tough for you to do, that, you know, you put something under your heels. So I've actually got a book, and I'll just demonstrate that really quickly. 1 second. All right, so if it's very difficult for you to get into the flat-footed squat, what you can do to practice is to get something like a book or anything else like that. It can be a rolled up towel or anything that's gonna elevate your heels just a little bit, so that way it'll help you get more comfortable, and you kind of work your way from there. So, you know, you can put the book down or whatever you want and just stick your heels on it, and then that will help you to get down into that squatting position easier. And, you know, it's going to be better than, you know, having your toes way up here like that, like most people would. So you just practice this with something under your heels for a little bit, and, you know, maybe do that for a week or two if you feel like you need it, and then maybe get something thinner and thinner until you're able to just sit like this, totally flat-footed, and you feel comfortable. Also, doing this on like a hill feels really good. If you can find a hill, you know, it feels great to just be on a hill doing this, because you get to feel what it's like to be in this position and how nice it can feel. And so if you're not going to use something to prop your heel up with, the best way to transition into a squat is probably to have a pretty wide stance at first. And it's going to probably feel uncomfortable, and it's probably not going to feel very good at first. But, you know, the wider you go, usually the more lower you can get and stable you feel. And then you just kind of work towards getting closer and closer until you can just kind of get down really easily, and you feel like you're not going to fall back or anything like that. So yeah, when you're first starting out in the position, it is really helpful and corrective for your back and your total posture overall. This is a very natural position for humans, and it's very relaxing once you get used to it and correct your posture and your you know, mobility with your thighs and your hips and all that. If it can feel really good to be in this posture and relax, but at first it's probably gonna feel like it is killing your back and your hips and everything else, because it's just you're using muscles and things like that that you don't normally use, and it's probably gonna feel like it's not helping you. But once you get used to it and you get more relaxed into it, then you can really feel good, and it's gonna feel great for your posture. And you'll probably be able to notice, if you practice and do this, you know, a little bit every day, and you start getting better at it, that it does really, you feel a lot better when you get up and stand up and walk around, that it does help a lot. So I encourage you to practice this a little bit every day, and just try and ease into it the best you can. And after, you know, maybe a month or maybe just a few weeks, it took me about a week or so before, and I was practicing a lot for about a week before I actually felt like I was pretty comfortable in that position, you know, and I was doing it every day, at least a few times a day. So it can take a while. So just try it out for a few weeks. You know, after about a month of practicing, if you do it every day, then you'll probably feel pretty comfortable getting into the flat-footed squat, and you'll have just a great position for resting and for correcting your posture and things like that. So I hope that this was beneficial to you and informative, and if you enjoyed it, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll be putting out more videos like this. So I'll see you in the next one. Thank you guys so much.